Morning guys, Morris, how do you copy? Yeah, I'm sorry, maybe you didn't copy earlier. There's Mslamian Dlorf here, Mamba Road, just south of Drakensberg Junction, so just south of Mamba Road, and they're slowly heading in a sort of southwesterly direction. Yeah, I'm still going to be here for a bit, so just give me a shout when you're close. I'm mentally relaxed. Morning Bernie, how's it going? Yeah, very good, it's been a good 48 hours. Yeah, it's just very nice.
I need some advice, man. That anywhere with a blimp on, where have I been hanging out of late?
Bernie, I haven't seen them myself, I haven't been out on that many drives, but I know yesterday Rexon got tracks coming north into Western Gari, just to the west of the Mpisi Kaya, so Mamba Road, Leadwood Road area, but I don't know if they've picked up anything this morning.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Thank you. Have a nice morning.
Same to you, Bernie. I was talking earlier about how elephants learn from other elephants, and obviously the case of a baby and its mum, that's the closest, strongest link in the early days, when the little elephant literally learns everything about what's going on around it. But then as time goes on, they also learn a lot from other elephants in the herd. In other words, by playing with other youngsters, they learn different fighting techniques, maybe for when they're older, for the bulls, or just different ways of moving other animals around, and also just learning from other adults. In other words, when calves are this age and older, 1 year and older, they'll often hang around with other adults in the group, not necessarily just their mum, and they'll pick up traits from that as well. I mean, there's a lot of different things that elephants do that can even vary from area to area. So, you know, for instance, when they pull out grass and they beat the sand off it, that's something that they learn from other animals. So the first couple of years of their life, first 2-3 years, they're learning a lot about just surviving, where the waterholes are, how to eat, what kind of food to eat, how to get to it. And then as they get older, there's also obviously more important social behavior that they learn, and also memories, if you want to call it that. What I mean by that is that often a matriarch will know the area very well. She'll know where there's good waterholes, where there's good food, and sometimes there might not be a drought for years and years. And then if there's suddenly a drought, she'll be able to go to a waterhole that she was at 20 or 30 years ago with her mum. And in that process, she shows other females in the herd where that is, and they'll remember again as well. So there's a short-term sort of knowledge is passed on. Eat this root, eat that grass, do this, do that. But there's also almost like a generation's knowledge is passed on. In other words, one matriarch will pass on knowledge to her calves, and so forth. Very interesting. Fortunately, it's a little bit sort of a flat light out here with all this overcastness, but this female's eyes have struck me a few times. And she's looked over in our direction. They're slightly lighter than usual, almost like a lighter brown. They sort of have like an amber brown color, the eyes. Could also be because of all that nice dark markings around her face. But a couple of times she's looked over at us and sort of noticed her eye color. Really happy we found this elephant. Last few days it's been very scarce. Well, Rexon's had a couple of good elephants, but the days before that not many elephants around, and they really are one of my favorite animals. I can spend hours and hours with elephants, have done so many times, and not get bored. It's just, apart from the interesting behavior that they have, they're obviously intelligent animals, but they also have a sense of calm about them. They're just these animals that seem very much aware and comfortable with the environment and with each other. So there's just a sense of tranquility and peace that you get when you're with elephants. I really like that. I think for a very long time, or at least in the way I sort of became aware of more in-depth knowledge about nature as I found it interesting from a young age. But for a very long time people used to think that animals are instinctive about everything. In other words, this elephant is instinctively eating plant roots now because it's rained. You have to wonder that it's not necessarily, or I don't always think it's necessarily the case. For a very long period of time, humans, or humans in general I guess, or the nature sciences, didn't really want to give too many credits, I guess, to animals in terms of emotions and intelligence and the ability to pass on knowledge, because those are things that sort of made us uniquely human. But you have to think that this elephant possibly is eating these roots just because it's instinct, but more likely because it learned it from its mum, like this little one is doing now from the adult we're looking at now, and she would have learned it from her mum, and her mum would have learned it from her mother at some stage. So to a large extent this is just passed on knowledge of what plants to eat when. Same as we as humans over the last couple of decades, over the last 100 years or so, we've learned a lot about nutrition, and that's passed on to a large extent by understanding it ourselves, but more importantly how you learn it from your parents. So I think more and more as we get to know and understand humans more, and as we feel less threatened by animals, we'll start seeing that they also have a lot of different aspects to how they live and evolve. They're not just all stupid animals. Of course, if we thought that they're all stupid animals, that would sort of have to include us as well, since we are only slightly more intelligent mammals ourselves. Mum just moving the youngster along there, wanting to dig out some more roots, and the baby was standing in the way.